Hello class, I want to re-record the video I did for lesson 8 combinations. And so I want to do basically part 1. I don't think I'm going to re-record part 2, but at least part 1, lesson 8 combinations. It says combinations with one type of item. Sometimes the GED mathematical reasoning test will ask you how many ways you can combine a set of items. Sometimes you may have only one way, one type of item to combine, and sometimes you may have more than one type to combine. This difference will determine your problem solving strategy. Consider an example with only one type. Well, we will go through this, and then now we're going to skip down to the actual problems, because before I went through the process of listing all the possible combinations, but there was actually a formula that you all could use that would make the combination a lot easier. So I want you to copy down this formula, and it's called the combination formula. So here is the formula. You have NCR is equal to N exclamation point all over R exclamation point N minus R exclamation point. Now this exclamation point, just to go off to the side, this exclamation point is called factorial. Just to let you know, this is not considered an exclamation point in mathematics, it's considered factorial. Okay, so now we're going to go through these definitions. I'm going to make these definitions very easy. Okay, N is basically the population, and R is what you choose. That's the simplest way of understanding N and R. So now we go to, and then the C is just combinations. So that's basically, this is the combination formula. N is the population, R is what you choose. Now, going here with number 1. It says, as a supervisor, Rob is choosing 4 of his employees to work on a special project. The employees are Angela, Barbara, Colin, David, and Elizabeth. So he has a population of these 5 people. Of those 5 employees, how many teams of 4 are possible? So we would have, our population is 5. That's what you're choosing from. Our R is what you want to choose. You want to do teams of 4. So now that we have our N and R, we can solve this problem. So basically, we substitute wherever N is, we put 5. Wherever R is, we put 4. So we will have 5C4 is equal to 5 factorial. And I'm going to put that in a parenthesis. 5 factorial, and then 4 for the R factorial, parenthesis, then N is 5, and then R is 4, and then we put factorial. Now, whenever I substitute, I always put the values I substitute in a parenthesis. So that is why you see these parentheses. Now, just to give you a little clarity, when you see factorial, factorial just means that you're going to take whatever number you have and you're going to multiply that number down to the number 1. So like 5, you would do 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. That is what 5 factorial means. Now 4 factorial means 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. I'm going to put that in a parenthesis. Now next, we have 5 minus 4 in a parenthesis, which would be 1. And 1 factorial is just 1. So let me rewrite what I just wrote down. And put those in parentheses. Okay. Now, we have these values. When we multiply this out, this will give us 120. When we multiply this out here, 4 times 3 is 12, times 2 is 24, and we know times 1 would still give us 24. So 120 divided by 24 is just 5. So what we have here, we have 5 possible team of 4 that you could have for problem number 1. Now, with that being said, you could go back and look at the previous video because I left it up. You could go back and look at the previous video on how I did problem number 1, and you would see that this is much, much easier. Now, before I go on to any other problems, I want to show you how to do this in your calculator. You still have to find your N and R, but then we could type this into your calculator. So let me pull up the calculator. And what we're going to do, we're going to write down the steps as well. So I want to write down each step. So step 1, you will press N over R. Oh, I'm sorry, N over D. I don't know why I keep saying N over R. So step 1, you will press N over D. So we did that. Now, step 2, you will press the number 5. So you will hit the number 5. Step 3, you will hit the PRB button, which is here. Step 4, you will hit the number 3. Now you see you have the 5 factorial. Step 5, you'll do the down arrow. So this is the down arrow. Step 6, you would type in 4. Step 7, you will press PRB. Step 8, you will press 3. Step 9. Step 9, you will press the parenthesis key. Open parenthesis key. Step 10, you would type in 5. Step 11, minus. Well, let me type that so you can see it on the calculator. So you have 5, then minus. And then step 12, you'll press the number 4. Step 13, you'll press the close parenthesis key. Step 14, you'll press PRB. Step 15, you'll press the number 3. Step 16, you'll press enter. And I gave you 5, the exact same answer we had before. I'm going to raise this up a little bit so you all can copy this in your notes. These are the steps of how to type in the combination. Now, I'm going to have to make a couple alterations. Now, if you want to copy this as is, you can pause it and copy it as is. But there are only a few of these that will change as you get different numbers. This 5 would change, number 2 would change. And then the next thing that would change is number 6, 2, 6, 10, and 12. These are the only 4 values that would change. Now, just to let you all know what these are, the changes, for number 2, I'm going to write this on the side. So, I'm going to put a star here to let you know what this star means. This star for number 2 it means that you have to type what n is equal to. Type what n is equal to. So that's actually number 2 and also number 10. So I'll put 2 and 10. For problems 2 and 10, from here, you would type what n is equal to. So next, for this star, for 6 and 12, you type what r is equal to. So that is why these have stars by them. Everything else remains the same. But for numbers 2 and 10, whatever n is equal to, that is what you put for steps 2 and 10. And then for steps 6 and 12, you will type in what r is equal to. So with your problems, it's possible that n and r will change. So if you look up here, we had typed in everything. When we typed in everything, if you look here, what we have here, I just didn't put them in parentheses in the calculator, except for the 5 minus 4. What we have here, we put here, and that gave us 5. Also, one thing I did not show you that I'm going to do now is here. I'm going to do 5 and then factorial, because I did tell you that factorial means that number multiplied all the way down to 1. But this right here, we knew that the top was 120. So that was 5 all the way multiplied down to 1, and that gave us 120. So that's proven to you what factorial actually is. So now that you have the steps, for the problem, let's go and do problem number 2. So what I'll do is, these are the steps. I'll box this up. So some people like to copy while they're still watching the video. Okay, for problem number 2, it says Jessica wants to take 3 books on vacation with her. She has 5 books to choose from. How many possible combinations of 3 books could she take on vacation? So n is the population, which would be 5. 5 is the population here. R is the amount that she chooses, which is 3. So they want to know, with the population of 5, how many 3-book combinations can she get? So we would take the formula that we used earlier. Now the formula is NCR is equal to n factorial over r factorial times n minus r factorial. Now we could go through and substitute. N is 5, r is 3. So we would have 5 factorial in our numerator. In our denominator, we would have 3 factorial. And then in parentheses, we have 5 minus 3 factorial. Now we have 5C3 is equal to, now we just put this in our calculator. Let's pull up the calculator. So we go through our steps. Step 1 is right there, here, n over d. Step 2, now we type in what n is, because remember, step 2 and step 10 is what n is equal to. So n happens to be 5 again here. And then we press, what's that, PRB. Then we press the 3. Now, that took care of the numerator, 5 factorial. Now we go to step 5, press the down arrow. Then we would type in what r is. R in this case is equal to 3. So we'll hit 3, and then we will go to the next step, which is PRB, then the number 3. Now we will hit the open parenthesis. We're on step 9, and then we will type in what we have here, 5 minus 3. So step 10 is 5, which is n, minus, and then step 12, remember that's a replacement for r, and r is 3. And then step 13, close that parenthesis. Step 14, hit PRB. Step 15, hit the number 3. And then step 16, press enter. So your answer here would just be 10. Okay, now I'm going to do maybe about 2 more problems, and then we're done with the first portion of 8. Okay, so now I'm going to, let's go to number 4. Number 4, it says 5 friends want to play a video game designed for 2 players. How many different combinations of 2 friends are possible if the order of the friends does not matter? So basically, you have 5 friends, which is the population. So n is 5. You have 5 friends. R, you want to do 2-person combinations. Okay? So now let me just say this. I know problems 1, 2, and 4 all has the population of being 5. But we're going to do some problems that don't have the population of being 5. Okay, so now we just go through and set this up like we did this problem here. I'm not going to rewrite the formula. You can rewrite the formula if you so choose. But I'm going to start from here. So this would be 5c2 is equal to 5 factorial all over 2 factorial times the parenthesis of, it'll be 5 minus 2 parenthesis factorial. Okay, now I'm going to rewrite this. 5c2 is equal to 5 factorial all over 2 factorial parenthesis 5 minus 2 factorial. Now this is what we have so far. Now all we have to do now is put this in our calculator like we did before. Now you should have written down the steps for the calculator. So I shouldn't need to show the steps anymore. So I'm going to go through and type it in. So we'll do 5. No, all right, clear. We're supposed to do n over d, 5, PRB, the number 3, down arrow, 2, PRB, the number 3, open parenthesis, then 5 minus 2, close the parenthesis, press PRB, the number 3, press enter. So your answer here should be 10. Now we're going to move on to problem number 8. And number 8 will be our last problem. All right, with number 8, let me take this up a little bit. So with number 8, it says, given 6 people, how many combinations of 3 are possible if order does not matter? So we have n is equal to 6, and then r is equal to 3. So we do our formula. We have 6c3 to be 6 factorial over 3 factorial times the parenthesis of 6 minus 3 parenthesis factorial. Now we put this in our calculator. So we have pressed the n over d, at 6, PRB, number 3, down arrow, 3, PRB, 3, open parenthesis, 6 minus 3 close parenthesis, PRB, the number 3, and enter. So your final answer here is 20. And that concludes the first part of 8. And remember, this is the easier way of doing the first part of number 8 when you're doing the combinations. So I will upload this to YouTube, and you have a wonderful day.